to make money because that money pays us here, or that money helps us in compliance, or that money helps the business. We also need to make sure that the business keeps that which actually keeps it in the market, which is the license. So we have to work together. So you need to inform them, you need to teach them, so that by the time they are writing rules, writing requirements, writing things that you have to comply with, they are writing from a place of knowledge, right? Sorry. Okay, so Nigeria specific challenges. First of all, like I mentioned earlier, I think when I was speaking in the introduction part, I said how things are rapidly changing. CBN said how one business can have multiple regulators, and if you're not careful, you're missing out on something. How different parts of different parts of the business, or you have tax compliance, you have compliance around advertising, you have compliance around raffles. Just I want to do a draw for my customers. I'm running a raffle draw. There's compliance to that. You need to inform people. Oh, I'm trying to onboard this kind of customer. What are the requirements for that? Several legs or several parts of your business need different kind of compliance advice. And so we have advice around AML, CFT, around data protection, consumer protection, foreign exchange, if you're into that kind of business. And then we see common pitfalls and solutions. First thing is treating compliance as optional. Compliance is not optional. Yes, it's not optional. You may push it forward now, but it will come back. It will come back to you. You'll get to a point where it would become, you have to do it because that's the only way you can survive. So it's better to just start out early and then expand as you grow. Also, inadequate AML monitoring, inadequate compliance programs. Yes, you don't have to build everything into your business from the beginning, but then there is the minimum requirements considering the level at which your business plays at the moment, and your in-house compliance person, your legal people are there to advise you on those things. For audit trails, this is one thing that, like, it's almost like a canker worm. You see it everywhere, especially with startups. Lack of proper documentation, transaction logs, admin logs, changes, control logs, different things, just poor documentation, poor audit trails, and then you're not able to record, you're not able to register, you're not able to refer, you're not able to record. Also, over-reliance on informal legal advice. This is where, the business wants to do compliance at the same time. It's not possible. I mean, there was a time where it was very expensive to hire compliance people, but now there are a lot more people in that field that you can hire at the level at which your business is. And you don't even need to hire someone to sit inside. Sit with you inside your in-house. There are people who provide compliance as a service that you can leverage, at least in your beginning in your beginning years. And then when you've grown to a certain point, your business can now reevaluate that decision and see if you want to bring in someone in-house to build and to manage it for you. Okay, so why is collaboration important? It's important, first of all, because, you want, like I mentioned earlier again, your regulators to understand what you're doing. And I will give an example specifically with crypto. So, crypto has gone through different phases in Nigeria. First of all, it was, don't do it. Secondly, it's, I think in February 2021, yes, the CBN came and said, anybody that's doing crypto, report them, do this, do that. And most people who were transacting in crypto at the time, especially those who worked in banks, shut down their crypto wallets and everything. Cryptocurrency exchanges now had to pivot into what you know now as P2P. Before, you could just pay directly into your crypto company's account and then to reflect into your wallet. And that's how P2P came about, which was like a very good way to innovate. You see, there had been a regulatory directive. businesses have come that sat down, evaluated it. Oh, what can we do? How can we continue to thrive in this situation, despite this situation? And then the idea of P2P came about. But now you have P2P. That also creates a compliance issue because, oh, you want to be careful around things like, who am I matching with who? How do I manage when customers don't comply? All those things. Some people decided to automate theirs. Some people still kept it out, or you reach out to your customer. How do I provide a good experience even when I'm doing P2P? All of that. That happened in 2021. Forward to 2023, December, it looked like the CBN, was, shining some green lights towards crypto with there was a circular that they released, I think, on December 23rd of that year, or 24th. Yes. And then they said, oh, banks can go ahead to provide to open accounts for crypto exchanges, provided they meet some certain level of requirements. But at the time when CBN was writing that, the SEC had not even issued anybody a license, and a license was part of the requirements for CBN. So it was just chaotic, everything. And then in 2024, thankfully, SEC eventually licensed 2 out of the many crypto exchanges who were in the sandbox. And between that time, August 2024 and now, no other person has been issued a license. So, everyone is just where, like, nothing is happening. So the question people are asking, okay, I'm a small crypto exchange. What am I supposed to do? I haven't been licensed. Should I stop my business? Should I continue? Should I do this? Should I do that? And that's where engagement comes in. You need to know exactly what the heart of your regulator is, what they're saying per time. And even in these kind of cases, through these periods, especially with SEC, between August last year and now, there have been several engagements. There have been draft, regulations that the SEC has shared with the organizations that it has licensed, and even those in the sandbox, to say, what do you guys think about this? This is the regulation that we want to push out to guide this sector. What are your thoughts on this? How do we what are your thoughts on this? And then this is us coming together and writing back to say, okay, this works, this does not work, this does not apply because this is how our business is. This applies generally, but it does not apply in the Nigerian context because XYZ, ABC. That is where engagement comes in. And then by the time we have that, sometimes we have meetings, calls, they speak, everybody rub minds together. I mean, they're the regulator ultimately, so they can also still decide that, oh, we still want to go ahead with this. But at least there is that place for engagement, and that is what is helpful. That engagement has yielded positive results, yes. I mean, not in every case, but at least that platform for engagement helps them understand better what we're doing as a business, and helps us also understand where they're coming from as a regulator. And this doesn't just apply to crypto, it applies to everyone. The CBN does that too, where they do like exposure drafts on certain guidelines and asks banks or its other regulated entities to write in to share their thoughts and all of that before they now release the final document. Also, partner and collaboration between ourselves in the industry. So if you're in the same space, like, okay, banks come together with banks, payments come together with payments, lending comes together with lending, crypto comes together with crypto. That's, that way everybody is fighting for the collective good of all, and not just, existing in silos. It doesn't really help that much. Okay, so what is the vision for the future? Where do we hope to get to eventually with all of this? We're hoping that, regulation eventually catches up, even though I believe that innovation would always be ahead of regulation. But, that it's at least keeps a good pace and is not as slow as it is right now. That fintechs will continue to lead with integrity and agility, that, businesses would embrace compliance more at the beginning stage. We'll build with compliance in mind, and then scale and grow with compliance in mind also. and then that would have safe and, inclusive ecosystem, safe in terms of, when we have when we have built like a strong compliance program, we have built a strong product, we are going to market, our customers trust us, our partners are happy to do business with us, we were able to, what's it now, create a system or an environment that is safe for our customers to even, do their business in, then that would be a good thing for us. Final notes on this is to start compliance. I've said it before. Carry compliance along from day one. It's better to be proactive with things that have to do with compliance than to be reactive about them. Stay connected, build network within your fellow players in the industry, and also between yourself and then your regulator. Collaborate and then build for scale, plan for scale, build compliance infrastructure. If you cannot build, thankfully we're in a time where, there are a lot of reg tech solutions available, and you don't have to, yes, they are expensive, but there are also ones that I think that they are ones that can address, or that you can subscribe to at the level at which your business is, while you keep building and while you keep growing. So these are my final, or these are all, at least some of the things I'd like to share on this. And I'm happy to take questions now. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Daluchi. Can we all appreciate Daluchi for this wealth of knowledge and wisdom? I need more claps, please. Thank you. Thank you so much. Hello. Very quickly, we are going to be taking questions in the next 5 minutes, 1 or 2 questions. So there is a question already in the chat box, and someone else has their hands raised. Technolix. Sorry, but you're going to introduce yourself when I call you. So we can take Emmanuel's question, and then we'll take Technolix afterwards. Yes, so Emmanuel asks, fintech should deploy solutions and let regulations or regulators meet them ahead. Can you please comment on this position? Daluchi, do you want to speak on that?
Okay. So this position, yes, is something that I'm very sure someone on the business team or the sales team said. But anyways, yes, and this is how I'm going to approach it. If you're looking at it in terms of, oh, I'm a business, I'm here, the market is moving, everything is moving, regulation is not really catching up, nothing is coming from the regulator. Do I now fold my hands and sit down to wait for, the regulator to say go ahead before I now go ahead, especially if there is nothing that actually hinders me from going into that? The answer is no. But then it's also a risk that you want to calculate before you take. And I'm going to explain it with this example. So for instance, with the crypto example I gave before, even in 2020, prior to 2021, there was no crypto regulation. So let's say you were building in that space. So you now say, okay, I'm not going to build anything. I'm just going to wait until, there's regulation, here, until someone comes and says, I'm regulating crypto, If you did that, then the market would have moved. People would have gone, bull and bear markets would have come. People would have made money, and you would have still been there. But then if you decide, oh, I'm going to go ahead, even though there is no regulator, you already know that, okay, I'm a business and I'm playing in the finance sector. So it makes sense, and it's very advisable at that point that you just look at it and say, okay, given that this is the business that I play in, what is global best practice, for that business, even without a regulator? Look at it. So my counterparts who are playing in that sector in country A, in country B, where they are regulated, what are they doing? And how can I take from that and plug in? How can I take from that, plug into it and build something that allows me, start even before regulation comes, and so that when regulation comes, I'm not starting from zero. I'm starting from a place where I'm able to add based on what regulation now requires me to do, and then continue to grow. I think that's the question that needs to be asked, and that's the approach that should be taken to address things like this. Emmanuel.
Thank you so much, Daluchi. Emmanuel, are you good? So in one word, go ahead of regulation. Don't wait till there's regulation before you build, but also be conscious of the ideal or the acceptable norm in markets that have also played in that similar niche. So yeah, thanks, Daluchi.
Just one last thing, and pay attention, because you can be doing that and then regulation in your own jurisdiction will start to pick up. You want to be aware, you want to keep, you want to be on top of that, so that anytime there's a change, you are very quick to move.
Thank you. Technolix, do you want to unmute your mic now? Okay, yeah, can I unmute your mic? In 2 minutes, so we wrap this up. If you're speaking, I can't hear you.
Can you hear me, please? Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Yes,
you can tell us your name as well.
Okay. My name is Emmanuel Onyo. Thank you, Daluchi, for that one. I personally, for one, really needed these words of encouragement, because now when you talk about regulations now here in Nigeria, a lot of us founders kind of like at some point feel like these guys now don't know what we are actually doing. We're innovating, and what happens to us if we go with our innovation and they say, hey, stop building? It's usually heartbreaking, right? For the fact that they don't understand what you're building, and for the fact that there are no adequate, should I say, manpower there to be able to follow up with the trend and kind of like understand and come up with the regulation. So my questions is what Emmanuel has already asked, but however, I think I'm just going to pivot away like a little bit. For us that are building in crypto sector, for example, right now with the hype on stablecoin payments and everything that's going on with crypto, for us, we're trying to bridge the gap between traditional banking and the blockchain. So now there are two different sectors. We're dealing with traditional banking, and then we're dealing with blockchain. How do you think that is going to go for us, provided that knowing that CBN has to regulate, SEC has to regulate, and a lot of parties there have to regulate? Like, should we just wait for CBN to say something about crypto builders, or SEC to start giving licenses to crypto fintechs and stuff? And again, how do we approach the regulators in such a way we don't get sanctioned? Because one of the fears of every Nigerian is that, okay, I carry myself, go meet regulator now, regulator handcuff me, say, you do something where where we don't want you meet. Then yeah, that's the fear of a lot of us. And you can't blame them because of the Nigeria factor. So I don't know if you can speak to that.
All right, thanks, Emmanuel.
All right.
Yeah, Daluchi, you can speak on that.
Yeah, so Emmanuel, so if you say you're trying to build a bridge between traditional banking and the blockchain today, you really need to define that clearly. I know that, some people are there are people, I've seen a couple of products where people are trying to build, where people are trying to, leverage blockchain technology to aid like banking services. That's one thing. There's now the second part where, people are trying to facilitate like payments between two of them. If it's the payments thing that you're trying to build, then I think that the CBN stand around crypto hasn't really changed. So you may want to maybe review what you're building and build maybe for the crypto side first. If you're building like something that is just technology based and is supposed to provide services that that the banking sector or that can facilitate, banking processes and all of that, then you may want to like see how people who have built something similar have approached it. If it's for the payments one, I'm very, like, I feel like if you're building anything in crypto payments today and you're hoping that CBN will come around, maybe that's the wrong hope to have right now. Build without that hope. If they do, great, but if they don't, you don't want to be stuck. Yeah. And then for your final question, around, how do I handle regulators saying like, if I approach a regulator now, and then he handcuffs me, I mean, I get that. So since it's crypto, there are crypto organizations. There are a couple of them that you can even, approaching the regulator is not something that is difficult. But like I said, around collaboration, I think it's better to approach them as a body rather than approach them as yourself or as one person. Find people who are also doing similar things to you and then approach them together. You guys discuss what your issues are, what you need regulatory advice on, and then approach the regulator that way. And then I'm sure that they're even happy to respond when it's when it's a united body that's coming to them than when it's just one person. Yeah.
Thank you so much. What you said reminded me of, I think it's Startup Bill, Nigerian Startup Bill, or is it Startup Act? Can't remember exactly, but it's a bunch of like OGs in the industry coming together to, drive what regulations should be like for the startup environment. So that's a really valid one. Thank you so much, Daluchi.